Ladies and gentlemen, it is Alex from Excellent Charge. Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, welcome. Today we are on an insanely epic looking chopper style e-bike, the Bigniu BGX-Pro. This is their 52 volt higher power model. This bike is actually pretty powerful and can go just about 40 miles an hour on flat ground. Now this bike has a lot of awesome features. Dual adjustable suspension in the back, an inverted dual crown front fork, a very large powerful motor. You get a 52 volt 27 amp hour battery, 5-inch wide tires. But the main feature of this bike is quite apparent. It is the look, it is the styling, and I have this bike in the orange gold color, which just glows in the sun. But you can get this bike in a bunch of other colors if you'd like. And this bike is like nothing else I've ever tested. The seating position, the styling, it's so epic. I had to take this thing out on the trail and ask people's opinions on what they thought about this bike. You think I should join like a biker gang on this?
No.
I don't know if they'll take you with that.
Does this scream financial responsibility?
It does.
You think so?
Yeah.
You guys can check out that video up on the right-hand corner of the screen. But today we're going to be bringing this bike through the usual review circuit. We're going to be doing all the tests. The 0 to 20 test, the long hill climb test, the steep hill climb test, the brake test, the top speed tests, all the tests. And after all of that, and watching the first video I made, the initial impressions video, along with getting other people's impressions, you will know for sure if this is the right bike for you. Prices of these e-bikes are always fluctuating based on whatever sale might be going on, so to get the most up-to-date price, check the link in the description below, and using code MAXCHARGE will save you $100 off your purchasing price. The chickens are lively today. They are making a bunch of noise over there, clucking away. The first test we're going to do today is our 0 to 20 test, and we're going to be using the Draggy to make sure we get the most accurate time. 0 to 20 test, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, we got 5.28 seconds. Not bad. That is actually a pretty good amount of torque. I'm pretty happy with the torque in this bike. Even pulling the throttle, you feel the bike want to pull away from you. So even though this bike's main feature is its aesthetic look, the power is actually pretty good. Let's move on to our long hill climb test. Stopping at the sewer grate, long hill climb test, 3, 2, 1, go. Off to a good start. And if you guys like content like this, if you want to support my reviews, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if I have earned your subscription. Like the video if you like it. Leave a comment below. You guys can follow me on social media. I am on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have 2 Facebook groups, High Speed E-Bikes and E-Bike Addicts. Look at this. We are cruising. There it is. All right. That felt pretty good. Let's check the free spinning wheel top speed. All right, that's interesting. Pedals are just going by themselves. Looks like we're about 46 miles an hour. Let's move on to our downhill speed test. See how close we can get to that number. We're gonna pedal up to speed, although you ghost pedal quickly after 20 because this bike only has 1 gear. Yeah, look at that. We get up to speed real quick. 42 miles an hour, 43 on the speedometer. Nice. I really wouldn't recommend riding this bike around on the sidewalks. It looks straight up like a motorcycle. Although it does have functioning pedals, so that's good. You might be able to get away with it if you go nice and slow, but it does look kind of ridiculous. Dropping off the curb, I do feel that rear suspension working, and the front is working amazingly well as well. Do hear that kickstand rattling around a bit. Handlebar width test. Oh, the handlebars are very wide. Look at this. I can't even fit through my normal testing area over here. Yikes. Make sure you don't get stuck. So this is a very, very wide and long bike. This is a big boy, so maneuvering this thing around your house is going to be a challenge, especially because the turning radius isn't 90 degrees, it's about 45 degrees. So just keep that in mind, guys. This is a huge bike, large and in charge. Moving on to our steep hill climb test. We got our GPS speedometer out. Let's see how this bike does. 3, 2, 1, go. This is a 52 volt system and it does feel like it has a good amount of power, so check that out. We're actually doing really, really good. 12 miles an hour, 13 miles an hour, up the steepest part. Nice. Guys, this bike has a good amount of power. I am actually very impressed. For a single motor 52 volt bike, that is very good. Moving on to our 20 mile an hour brake test. We're gonna get up to speed, use the spots to measure our braking distance, and brake. Holy crap. Guys, that was really good. Most bikes stop somewhere in the second spot. This bike is actually in the first spot, just by a little bit, but we stopped on a dime. The brakes on this bike are very, very good. Now these are dual piston calipers, but they look extra beefy. They are very big, branded KTAT. Whatever brand they are, they work very well. And these are gigantic 203 millimeter rotors. They look extra thick as well, which means they're not gonna hold a lot of heat. They're gonna stay cool, eliminate brake fade to make sure you guys get very good stopping power. This bike is starting to really impress me. Again, the main feature is the look, but so far the performance is looking really good as well. Next, we're gonna head down to our top speed testing site. But before we do that, let's head back into the MCHQ and take a look at the specs and components of this bike. See you guys in a bit. All right, guys, let's take a look at the specs and components of the Bigniu BGX-Pro. Let's start at the top. We've got ergonomically styled handlebar grips, hydraulic disc brake levers with a little reservoir on each side. Very cool. We've got our dedicated light switch, and we also have a horn button, which is very loud. And here's your turn signal switch. Here's what that front turn signal looks like. These look pretty bright. And here's what the rear turn signal looks like. Power button right here. We'll turn the bike on. And on the right, we have a half twist throttle. No shifter because this bike only has one gear. And this bike does have a safety feature where the throttle will not immediately work because a park feature will be enabled when the bike sits for too long. So to get going, you just hit one of the brake levers and then the throttle will turn on. Simple plus and minus control panel with some additional buttons on the side. This side button is a light switch that does not function. And pressing this top button up here, we'll cycle through max speed, average speed, trip meter, odometer, and on the display you can see we have our battery bar, if the headlight is on, speedometer, and pedal assist levels. And if you hold the plus and minus buttons, that'll bring you into the P settings, where you can change all your advanced settings, mile an hour or kilometers an hour, voltage, don't touch that. Pedal assist levels, I have mine set to 3. You can go all the way up to 9 pedal assist levels. Wheel size to make the speedometer more or less accurate. P5 is your speed limit, bring that all the way up to 100. P6 is a password setting, so if it's on a Y, that's yes, it's going to require a password. If you want to go into that setting, change it to yes, and then it's going to ask you for what you want your password to be. Currently mine is set to 1212, but I don't like a password, so we're going to set it to N, which means no password. P7 is how long the bike will stay on if you're not using it. Check out these handlebars. These are for sure very high motorcycle style ape hangers. This is going to give you an insanely upright riding position where your arms are just hanging off the handlebars. Right here we got a nice deflector which does cover a lot of the cables behind it, giving the bike a cleaner appearance. Over here is our headlight. I love how this headlight looks with this black piece in front of the light itself, and this is a very bright headlight. This is also where the horn sound comes out of. And for fenders we get metal front and rear fenders. And these fenders are very solidly mounted to the bike. No rattle whatsoever in the front. Same thing in the back, very solidly mounted. For a fork, you get this huge dual crown front fork. This is an inverted fork. Up top, we have our compression and lockout adjustment. Mine did come with some plastic protectors on the front of each side. One of them was cracked during shipping, so I just took both off. But this way you can see just how much travel this front fork has. Check that out. And this fork does have plenty of travel. I think it is more than adequate, especially considering most of the weight is going to be in the back. This bike comes with 20 by 4 inch size wheels. However, these tires I think are almost, or actually are, 5-inch wide tires. These are some very beefy road treaded tires. Notice how they are a little bit smoother than some of the usual tires that you guys see. These are going to be nice and quiet on the road. And the front wheel is held in by this through axle, which in my opinion is the best way to go. Check out these brakes. Huge 203mm rotors, and these are on the thicker side as well, with ginormous dual piston calipers. They're branded KTET. Typically on these heavier e-bikes you'd see quad piston calipers, but these are very large dual piston calipers, and these work very, very well. Same exact setup in the back. The battery that this bike comes with is a large 52 volt, 27 amp hour battery. They crammed in as many battery cells as they possibly could into this tank style shell. Charge port for the battery on this side. And here's our battery indicator. Blue means full, red means empty, green right in the middle. We are still at blue. And then when it gets really low, it starts to flash red. Right now we are blue, good to go. And for a charger, we get this faster 5 amp actively cooled charger, which should charge your battery up in no time. This battery actually gave me a ton of range. I got just over 40 miles of range of mixed riding with this bike. That is plenty, way more than I need. So I think the battery size on this bike is fantastic. But if you notice, there is a huge opening in the center, perfect for an aftermarket battery, if that's something you guys are interested in. The controller is gonna sit right in this triangle over here. It's nicely concealed and protected. And this is a 40 amp controller. And if you notice, there is a website on the bike itself and some logos. And these are actually stickers that you can easily remove. So we'll definitely be peeling this off in the future, just to give this bike a cleaner look and appearance. And back here is a ginormous 1500 watt nominal rated motor, and at the full charge of a 52 volt battery, which is about 58.5 volts, times the 40 amp controller, means this motor is gonna peak at somewhere around 22 or 2300 watts. And this motor did surprise me. It delivered a ton of torque and a top speed of almost 40 miles an hour. Very impressive for a 52 volt system. Currently I have this bike in the gold color, but it does come in a bunch of other different colors as well. Everyone has their own color preferences, so feel free to choose your favorite. Honestly, I think all of them are gonna look great. The frame of this bike seems to be made from this extremely thick tube that kind of just goes all the way around that entire frame. This thing is massive, so I don't think we'll have any durability issues whatsoever with this frame. It is a very unique looking frame. I think what I'll do in the future is put some white LEDs over here. What do you guys think? That might look pretty cool. If you notice, the seat is on the wider side. You get this big kind of motorcycle style seat. It isn't as squishy as it looks. I do wish that it had a little bit more padding. It does feel kind of deflated, almost like there should be more padding in here, but there isn't. I hope Bigniu is going to upgrade this seat in the future, or maybe there's a way to just take off this covering, throw your own padding in there, and this seat would be much, much better. But right now, it's not too bad. It's pretty good, and I do like that at least it is wide, which will make it more comfortable. This bike does come with this sissy bar back here, which I think it really adds to the aesthetic of the chopper style e-bike. If you don't want to put this on, you don't have to, but I think it matches the taller handlebars perfectly. Let's talk about this rear suspension. So if you notice, this is a progressive spring. There are bigger gaps down here for more space for compression, smaller up here, which means it's gonna be tighter. And this is adjustable. Let me show you guys how to do that. So you take an Allen wrench, throw it in the hole right here, and then from there, you can push or pull, and it will compress the whole spring a little bit more, giving you a tighter suspension. Pretty nice. There's our single gear in the back with a chain tensioner below, which is necessary because this is a massively long chain. Look at this thing, it is huge. We got a pretty big size chain ring up front, normal size crank arms, and basic metal pedals. And pedaling this bike is actually a great experience because it's almost like a recumbent bike. You can just relax, lean back, and pedal this bike. it ghost pedals at between 20 to 25 miles an hour. So if you're just cruising around at 10 to 15 miles an hour, pedaling this bike with this gearing should be a-okay. We also got these leather bags in the box that do match the aesthetic of the bike. I personally did not put these on, but if that's something you're into, you've got the option to do that. And in the packaging, you also get these leather pouches, which house a lot of the accessories and tools that you get with this bike. And you also get this nice little phone mount with the USB port underneath. And of course, this bike comes with all the tools that you need to put it together. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at our top speed testing site. We're gonna pedal up to speed and then see where the throttle takes us. And of course, we're gonna go both ways on this road to negate for any effects of wind and elevation. Here we go, pedal, pedal, pedal. Pretty much ghost pedaling after 25 and throttle only. Let's try and tuck down a little bit, although I don't know how much of a difference that's gonna make. All right, we're at 35, 38, wow, 39, holding 39. Can't we hit 40? Come on, you're so, there we go, 40 going one way. Okay, that's 40 going one way. Let's see how we do going the other way. Here we go. Pedal, 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 pedal. Tuck down. 32. 33. 37. All right, we're getting there. Come on. 38. Holding 38. Still holding 38. All right, that's it. So 40 plus 38 divided by 2, 39 miles an hour. Official maximum charge. Top speed tests. And by the way, I am 200 pounds right now. It is about, I'd say 80 degrees out. I'm sure if you are a lighter rider, you could probably consistently hit 40 miles an hour, maybe even a little bit more. This is one bike that I actually don't even care how fast it goes, because I would want to take this thing out on the trails. It just looks so cool and so insanely awesome. I want to show this bike off. I want to go nice and slow. But if you do want to go fast, you can. Check this out. We can hit just about 40 miles an hour. That is really, really good for a single motor 52 volt system. That's around the speed that a lot of 60 volt e-bikes go. And this thing is 52 volts. So whatever kind of programming Bigniu did on this bike, they did a good job with. So currently I have this bike set to 3 pedal assist levels, but I think you can adjust that in the settings to make it more. Pedal assist 1 for me gives me just about 20 miles an hour. Pedal assist 2 will give me just about 30 miles an hour. And of course, pedal assist 5 will give you that full, almost 40 mile an hour top speed. The seating position on this bike is very clearly upright. It is very, very upright. My arms are essentially horizontal, maybe slightly higher than my shoulders. And right now, leaning back, I cannot feel the sissy bar in the back, but if I did have a backpack on, I can lean back and really relax on this bike and just chill and cruise around, lazy boy style. This almost feels like a recumbent position right now. So if that's the position you're looking for, this might be the bike for you. This is so awesome. I really like this bike. The seat is actually on the wider side, but I do wish it had more padding inside. It does feel kind of deflated, so a custom seat would really tie this bike together and make it nearly perfect. If the seat had a little bit more squish, oh man, it'd be so nice. But at least it's a wider seat, so it's still pretty comfortable. The suspension on this bike does feel very good as well, and it is adjustable in the back. More than likely, you're gonna be just riding this thing around on paved trails, maybe at most a gravel road, and the suspension is perfectly adequate for those two situations. The front suspension does work well as well for any kind of bumps that you might encounter, although for the most part, it's not really gonna be doing a whole lot because due to the rider position on this bike, most of your weight is gonna be on the back. I do also like all the electronics that this bike comes with. You get front and rear turn signals, you get a nice front headlight, you get a horn, nice looking display. Although I do wish the display did show you voltage, it's actually pretty good. Not only that, you get a very big 52 volt, 27 amp hour battery. Again, check out my initial impressions and range test video that I did. I got somewhere around 40 plus miles of range on this bike. That is insane. That is a lot of range. This bike is the full package. Not only does it perform well, it also looks incredible. The tires are on the quieter side, which I do appreciate. They are more street treaded, which is appropriate for this bike. You wouldn't want to put off-road tires on a bike like this. The prices of these e-bikes are always fluctuating based on whatever sale might be happening, so to get the most up-to-date price, check the link in the description below, and using code MAXCHARGE will save you $100 off of your purchasing price. Huge shout out and thank you to those of you who are using my links. You guys are the reason I do so many of these reviews and the reason we get so many of these cool bikes to review on this channel. And if you do want to support my reviews without buying this bike, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if I have earned your subscription. Like the video if you like it. You guys can follow me on social media. I am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I have 2 Facebook groups, E-Bike Addicts and High Speed E-Bikes, 40 miles an hour and up. Visit MaximumChargeEV.com for full leaderboard information. Let me know what you think about the Bigniu BGX-Pro. This bike is truly something special. It is unlike most other e-bikes on the market, both on the performance end and on the aesthetics end. This bike is truly special. You get nearly 40 mile an hour top speed, great hill climbing torque, and a paint job and aesthetic that is guaranteed to turn heads as you ride around on the trail. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think. That is it for today, folks. Until next time.